Welcome to the Obesity Medicine Podcast with your host, Dr. Matea Rentia, board certified in internal medicine and obesity medicine. Here, we talk about a path to metabolic health, and we have real conversations about chronic weight management and living a full life. Just a reminder, I am a physician, but I'm not your physician. So everything that's on this podcast is for informational purposes, but please go talk to your doctor about what's right for you. There is no medical advice being given on this podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. How are you all doing today? I hope you are having an amazing start to the week. Right now, when I'm recording this, I just finished my walk not too long ago, and those early morning walks, 30, 40 minutes in, I feel like a different person. Grumpy Matea has left the building. Happy, centered, amazing Matea enters the villa. So I just love how I feel after these walks. Where I walk in the morning, it's a high school walking track, and we walk on the upper level, but you can see the lower level, one floor down, you can see the gym underneath. Over the years of me walking at this track, I have seen some of the same female athletes. They are practicing basketball, and the basketball coach that coaches the women's team is actually the one that opens up the gym for us and runs that part of the program. And so sometimes they're practicing alone and sometimes they're practicing with him. Here's the thing though. I'm going to just talk about one of these athletes in particular, and I've never even talked to this person. I have seen her for years now practicing, and she comes early every single morning. So school for them, I don't know, my stepkids, they get on the bus for high school at close to 8 o'clock. So I want to say at 8:20 or 8:30 that they start. So the point is she's there by 6 a.m. just to kind of give you context. She for hours practices making sure that her game improves, whether it's floor drills, practicing getting that ball in the hoop. I've even seen, it's interesting, there's these machines. I didn't know all this exists because again, I come from more the skiing, downhill racing world. I didn't do basketball or football, things like that. I'm getting a lot more acquainted with all this stuff. They have a machine when they get it in the hoop, the machine will throw the ball back to them. And even when they're running around in different positions, the machine tracks with them. So it stays underneath the hoop, but it will get it back to them. She is just practicing again and again and again. And I thought about, it's not an accident. Years down the road, I feel like this girl probably is going to be in the professional athlete league. I guess I spoke to the coach that runs this program, and a lot of them do end up going on to doing a lot of really incredible things. And I thought to myself, when you see these people, let's say they're 25 years old, they're on a team, and you think, oh man, they're just so talented. That's so great. They're so lucky. I mean, yeah, they have the genetics for it, but listen, they're getting up for decades to get up and practice and do this. And it's just really inspiring. And it really reminds me how these things compound over time. So I want to say this to inspire the rest of us. All of us have this version in our life of something where we need to keep showing up repeatedly. And then later you just have these amazing results, but you spent years pouring into it. Just secondhand witness this going down over a few years here. It's amazing to see. I'm waxing poetic because it's the end of the year here. Yesterday, my son he's finishing first grade here. They had an award ceremony and it was really great. He was picked in the class for each class has something called the Principal Award. And the teachers that pick this kid from each of their classrooms, they write why they're giving the award. And it was just really nice to hear some nice comments about my son. And again, that shows me too how much words matter. Hearing positive things. We all have people in our lives that we appreciate, but how often are we really verbalizing it? I just have so appreciated this teacher all year. I daily am in gratitude for all the time that teachers spend with our kids and how incredible they are. I know I talk about this a lot on the podcast, how I really feel that his school just does so much. And it occurred to me when me and my husband were at this award ceremony, the principal spoke a little bit, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, the village that this takes for it to work. Yes, there's the teacher in the classroom. Yes, there are the special teachers like gym class, media, things like that. But then there's also a principal, and the front staff matters just as much. They had to screen everybody when we come in. You need to show an ID, and there's this whole process. And I think, gosh, it takes a village for all these things to run. And then also coming up here at the end of the week, we have 2 graduations in the family, Thursday night and Friday morning. Just to think that my stepkids, that they're 18 years old, the one is going to be going to college starting in the summer. The other one is going to be a firefighter. Now you can only a few years later actually get hired at a fire department, but he already all throughout high school has been doing all the classes, getting all the certifications, doing all the volunteer firefighter time. Like, it's insanity. It's funny. That too, I think about, I don't know why this is the theme for today. I think about when people say he was just so lucky that he got hired at the fire department and everyone else can't get that job. It's like, yeah, but he probably, by the time he's able to get hired, will for like 6 years have been doing work with them. I'm having one of those moments where it's like, wow, there's a lot of life transitions happening at the moment. I'm really proud of them and just a lot of good things. And then I'm also excited for the summer. And I find that when summer hits, it always passes too quickly. So the best thing that I find that's been helpful for my family is that we sit down at the beginning of the summer, meaning now. I mean, literally before we're May 21st is going to be the last day of school for my kids for this year. And we write down all the things we want to do. So is it we have 2 lakes that are about an hour away from us. And we typically on Saturday and Sunday over the summers, we go there. There's a $50 pass for the parks and you can go as many times as you want. We literally will just load up the car with some, for me, nice snacks, some hydration, ice, things like that. And we'll go enjoy there for a bunch of hours. And that's just always super fun. We'll do the children's museum, the zoo. There's just a bunch of different things that we're going to do. And I write it out. It might even be try new coffee shops. That's been a new thing of mine. I want to be trying different things, different local independent bookstores. I put all this on the list. And what's really nice about this is at the end of the summer hits, which for us is really quick. They have like a continuous school model here. So they are back in school end of July, beginning of August. So we have June, July to really take advantage of everything. And at the end of it, you're not like, I don't know where it went. It went so quick. You look at the list because you cross it out as you do it and you realize, oh my Lord, we did 20, 30 things. And how incredible is that? And every single thing you do, if you go to Dairy Queen and you enjoy an ice cream, put it on the list. Because again, I'm really obsessed with really realizing how much you're doing and truly being grateful how much we can do. It's incredible. Instead of sitting there all day long, my body's broken, I can't do this, I can't do that. Let's focus on all the amazing things because life is pretty darn amazing. And I hope that you have as many amazing things happening in your life. I think we all do when we look for it instead of looking for the negative. Okay, that went way far left, but let's come back to today's topic. We're going to talk about fiber today. In general, the data that I'm seeing, most Americans are getting 15 grams or less fiber per day, and that's just not enough. The goal for a woman should be 25 grams or more per day, and for a man, it's 38 grams or more per day. Now, if you don't know how much you're getting, do an audit for a day or two and figure out how much that is for you. Because if you don't know where you're starting, it's really hard to work on it. But here's what I find works for my patients in general. If you find 2 to 3 items that have a good amount of fiber in it that you like, the key is you have to like it. It's not just you're tolerating it. You've got to like it. If you find 2 to 3 of those foods and you have them every single day, you are going to be just fine. So I'm going to go through some examples here. I'm going to go through what I personally like, but if you're getting enough fiber, you're just not as constipated, if at all. Right? And now constipation can be a little bit genetic. It can also be based on other conditions. Do you have a thyroid problem? Are you on iron supplementation? There's a lot that can go into that. But in general, if you are hydrating, you are getting enough fiber, and you are moving daily, I usually don't see those patients have a problem. But what are these 2 to 3 sources of fiber that you can get? The top one that I think about, assuming that it's affordable for you, would be berries, blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, raspberries. Raspberries are the highest fiber per unit. Sometimes they can be quite tart though. For me, I am basically about 50% made up of blueberries. Blueberries and strawberries is a close second. I pretty much every single day have them. They are so easy to throw it in with a meal. I don't care what the meal is. I might have half a cup of blueberries with it. And sometimes I'm so hungry as I'm making the meal, I might even start with just having some blueberries. It cuts down on being super hungry. It starts to already get the fiber train going. And so for me, berries are just a really easy addition. You can throw it with either cottage cheese if you want salty. You can throw it with a plain Greek yogurt. You can just do so much with them. The other thing that you can do with berries, they do not need to be fresh. You can use frozen whatever form you want. I just don't want you to have a bunch of syrup with it because that's unnecessary. We're really wanting the natural sweetness that comes from it. And so if you take frozen blueberries, this is a recent recipe that I made that is divine, by the way. This is like a dessert. So you take frozen blueberries, I take about a cup, melt it in the microwave a minute or two, whatever. I like it just to be a little bit melted, not 100% warm. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, so I melt it down and then you make PB Fit. So there's the PB Fit powder that has lower fat content in it. It's lower calorie, but has a little bit more, I think it's a little bit more protein compared to regular peanut butter, or maybe it's just that it's lower fat. So it's a little bit quote unquote healthier. And so I take about maybe 2 tablespoons of PB Fit and do just a little bit of water. And I keep adding water when I'm stirring it so that it gets to the consistency of peanut butter. Okay, so we've recreated peanut butter, but with PB Fit. You put that on the side and then you can do a little bit of Cool Whip, or you could do vanilla Greek yogurt, do whatever you want. But I saw this recipe with Cool Whip, and then you eat those 3 together, the blueberries with a little bit of Cool Whip, which just think like whipping cream, and a little bit of that PB Fit. Guys, it is divine. And everybody in the comments, this video I saw actually Pump Med. I don't know if her episode I don't think it'll have aired yet. I'm going to interview her for the podcast. She originally made the recipe and I was like, that is so great. I made it. And some people were saying, yuck, what's Cool Whip? Everyone putting down the ingredients. And I'm thinking, you know what? Everything can't be 100% healthified all the time. So if you want to make it a Greek yogurt, do it. But sometimes I just want something that's a dessert that tastes great, that's a little bit better for me, but not 100% ruined. I'll put the link for me making that recipe down below if you want to see that. That was a really great one. But anyway, it just shows you how berries you can do fresh, you can do warmed up. It creates a syrup when you warm it up in the microwave. So that can be really great. All right, the next one that I have on here is avocado. Avocado, if you have a whole thing, it's 10 grams of fiber. Most people don't have a full avocado. If you have half, it's about 5 grams. What I like to do is either pair it with a salad, either eat it on its own, literally just a half an avocado in slices on my plate, like for dinner or breakfast, whatever it is, or I'll take a little mini low carb tortilla wrap. So those will be about 25 calories, 7 grams of fiber. If you get, for example, Mission or Carb Counter, there's many different brands. So when you add those 7 grams of fiber in that low carb tortilla with the half of the avocado, you are over 10 grams of fiber. You've not even had your full meal and you're almost halfway your way to getting the fiber goal for the day. I think you can see really how easy it can be. All right, the other area that I have on here, and these are in no particular order, by the way. It's not like this is highest fiber going to lowest fiber. These are just all the different ways that, not totally comprehensive, but that I think about getting fiber. Okay, so I just spoke about high fiber products like low carb tortilla wraps, things like that. The other thing that fits in there are some different bread sources that have a good amount of fiber. You hear me talk about the fitness bread. That can have 11 grams of fiber for a slice, like a dark rye slice that has 150 calories. Think about that, 11 grams of fiber. You're having a slice of bread. You can do 2 pieces of cheese on it, a few pieces of cucumber, some avocado. You have something that has close to 15 grams of fiber and almost 30 grams of protein. It does not need to be rocket science with how you do this stuff. The other thing I think about when I think about high fiber products, I'm obsessed with them, the Flora bars, Floura. Again, I'll put the link down below. I am not an affiliate of any of these people. Flora bars are really high fiber and they're made all with regular ingredients. So for example, they'll do like fermented apple rinds and that's what they're using. Chia, there's a bunch of other stuff that's in it. And so these bars are 150 calories, anywhere from 13 to 15 grams of fiber. They have a new brownie batter flavor that is out of this world amazing. Their other flavors are very fruity. I do not have a full bar daily. I do half because if I do a full one, it is way too much fiber at one time for me. It does not end well. To me, it is such a nice addition just to do half of it. I typically sometimes in the afternoon, if I'm getting hungry or I'm having a long work day and I know, it's like a really far way until my next meal, I sometimes will do half that bar. I think probably having anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4 per week, depending on what the week looks like. Those are 100% mandatory for me when I travel. I'm attending a fun stationery / like sticker expo in Seattle at the end of June here. you will see Flora bars in my bag. They are amazing. It's one of those products where I can't imagine myself ever not using it. Hopefully I didn't oversell that to you. A lot of products nowadays, all the way down to candy. At my retreat, I showed a lot of these different products and I had my clients taste them. They have a ton of added fiber. You just need to be careful with these type of things because you can feel very unwell from a bloating standpoint, from a diarrhea standpoint, if you overeat things that are highly supplemented with fiber. So just be careful with that. Remember with fiber, if you're going to increase your amount, you go low, you go slow. Don't add more than 5 grams of fiber in the day. Do that for a few days, do it for a few weeks, see how you feel, and then you can keep increasing. But you don't go from 15 grams up to 30 grams. You're going to not like your life. All right. The other category that I think about are things like beans, lentils, edamame, things like that. Edamame is one of these mythical foods where you're getting a really good amount of protein and fiber. You can eat it without the shells. They sell bags like that in the freezer section. They have it with the shell. I literally make it in the microwave. I'll just take a handful, stick it in the microwave, a little bit of olive oil, some salt, you're good to go. The other thing that's awesome with edamame, they make them as dried snacks. So I personally love the brand, The Only Bean. They sell it everywhere and they have a lot of really great flavors. Personally, I like the sea salt and the ranch, but the wasabi is also really amazing. So if you like a buffalo and all those kind of flavors. Again, the Only Bean is a really good way to do that. They also have really nice little travel packs. This is another one of those mandatory products that travels with me. Why? Because it doesn't matter if you're at a conference or whatever you're doing. You can literally, and I've done this before because I'm a vegetarian and they often literally do not have a protein source at the meal, which I know it's insane, but it still happens. So if there's a salad, for example, I can literally take either the sea salt or the ranch, throw that packet on top, and I'm getting a bunch of fiber, a bunch of protein that can help supplement that meal. Another area would be something like quinoa. I don't know what it is about quinoa. I get that it's great for you. It just feels like air for me. I don't tend to make it a lot, but I know quinoa can go so great with salads, things like that. Okay, the other thing when I think about fruit that is high fiber, pears. So pears are something, it's interesting. It just doesn't make its way into my nutrition a lot, but pears are a really good source of that. You can think about figs. And then from a veggie standpoint, green peas, people never think about that, but that's pretty high fiber. And then all your green leafy veggies. So things like kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, or your more starchy veggies like sweet potatoes. It is endless. I didn't mention oatmeal on here, right? There are tons of categories, but these are just some that I think about. Oh yeah. The other one I think about would be something like popcorn has fiber in it. So you always have to weigh, how is it that I feel on it? How much fiber does it actually have? Am I able to stop with these foods? Because some foods are just way too snacky where people just lack an element of being able to naturally integrate the food and what they're eating and feel like they have control with it. When I think about my day, to be honest, there's always some strawberry, blueberry. My yogurt that I get, it might have fiber in it. So for example, I really like the ratio yogurts. If you get the line that says pro fiber on it, it will have 10 grams of fiber and 20 grams of protein. If you get their regular line, those are 25 grams of protein and don't have fiber in it. I might add to a salad the Costco artichoke hearts are out of this world. They're so amazing. So I might add some of those. I might literally just add some dried chia seed, maybe some ground flaxseed to that. I forgot to mention that above, chia seed and ground flaxseed. Those are amazing. I might add some roasted edamame. I might add some roasted chickpea to the top of my salad. I will make that probably once a week and then just throughout the week, either have it as snacks or on top of salads. Lentils, again, that is a super easy thing to throw on top of things for a lunch. Or sometimes I make a Mediterranean salad once a week. That'll be that chopped cucumber, tomato, red onion, avocado, chickpea, feta, olive oil, lemon, Italian seasoning. I know I just said a lot of quick things, and I'll link to a lot of this underneath in the show notes so you can click on me making all this stuff. I'm pretty sure I've made it in the past on social, so I'll link to that. And then again, for dinner, there will probably be some type of a veggie, blueberries. It does not matter. But do you see how it's not hard how these things are happening once you figure out? For me, the formula includes blueberries and strawberries. It includes half an avocado. It just includes these things where I know I'm always good. If I have half that Flora bar, this, that, da, 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 I know I'm reaching 30 grams. There's no question, right? I want you to get to that point where you feel more confident with this. This takes time to build out a repertoire where you feel like it's always happening no matter what. This is probably one of the area that my patients struggle with the most. People can get the protein thing. Protein is in a lot of things. It's front and center visible. A lot of the time, proteins might actually even taste pretty darn good. Think about a yogurt, a cottage cheese, a different cuts of meat. People tend to maybe even go for the proteins, but the fiber can be something where you might need to be a little bit more intentional. Other thing here, when I'm thinking fiber, I'm always thinking constipation. So I spoke in the beginning of this episode about how if you're hydrating, you're getting your fiber and you're moving, you are generally in a good spot. Okay, that's not enough for everyone. I also like you to audit your supplements when you're thinking about this. Sometimes magnesium can be helpful in this situation. Of course, there are things like over-the-counter Miralax, but I'm just talking more of the supplement land. Magnesium can be something that's really helpful. When you start low, you go slow. Most people are not taking enough magnesium for it to be helpful. You're doing a few hundred milligrams. You're not actually titrating up to a dose that helps you. So about every 3 to 4 days, I have my patients increase the amount of what they're taking. And then once we get to where the bowel tolerability is where we want it, where they're having those bowel movements that we want, then we back it down a dose. That's usually their maintenance dose. Everyone's always wondering what type of magnesium. The reality is that usually the combinations are what my patients do best on. So it's not just glycinate, it's not just citrate, it's combinations where it's all together where people will feel the best on that. There's also vitamin C can be helpful with constipation. Looking for things that might be causing problems, like if you're taking iron that can constipate, really looking at, have I had my labs done? Have I had my supplements looked at? People, they forget that the supplements, how it can impact their bowel habits. So sometimes positive, sometimes negative. We just spoke about magnesium can help in vitamin C and the iron worsening it. I always tell patients, actually look at what's in the formulations of what you're already taking. So for example, that hair multivitamin that I've been talking about a lot, Folly, it has really like these clinically meaningful doses of nutrients. And one thing I always notice when formulas are really thoughtfully built is that they sometimes have these secondary benefits too, right? So I'm sitting here thinking, oh, I'm taking it for hair. But then I'm also noticing, look, there's actually vitamin C in here, right? Which obviously like we need for, for skin and other things as well. But the point is, for me personally, it's helping out with that regularity with the bowel habits. I've noticed that. And then I spoke the other week about, or I don't know, however long ago here, about how my sleep, I noticed, oh my gosh, I need to take this earlier in the morning because it really gives me so much more energy. Like I'm up later, all that kind of stuff. When you look at what you're taking, look at the formulas. They need to actually have an amount that is effective. So what you can do is hopefully you have a physician that is well versed in this and can actually tell you the milligram amounts, things like that. But what you also can do is there are studies, peer-reviewed studies that show this amount of this ingredient led to this amount of hair growth, right? Like this led to that result. You need to look at those studies. And then you need to look at what you're taking. Does it match that? And if it doesn't, you know you have a problem. So that's why I'm so obsessed with certain brands, because when I look at it, like with Folly, I say, oh my gosh, okay, it's really on par with Nutrafol. Okay, Nutrafol has these studies behind it. And when you look into all these things, you realize, okay, this is why it's actually working for me in some capacity. So I want you to look at what you're taking. Even though you might think it's for one reason, I want you to look at every single ingredient on there. Go on their website, read about the ingredients. You need to actually know what you're taking. This is really important. The way in which things are taken is going to be the difference between them working or not. Not to go totally off base here, but when you're taking iron, often the absorption is super hard. A lot of people, they don't do a great job absorbing iron. If you do it with vitamin C, I see the levels of iron go up quicker. So that says, okay, do you have a vitamin C involved with your iron, either in the formulation, taking it together, or how you're eating or how you're taking it, right? So these things have a really big impact on you. And you might be taking things that are actually constipating you and you don't know it. So I really want you to be a detective about this. All right. The last thing I want to say from a supplement land with constipation and all of this is probiotics. This is the one that no one thinks enough about. I personally, again, I have no affiliation with these companies, but there's a brand VSL. It's really a probiotic. It's a medical grade food, essentially, is how they're saying it is. But it's a probiotic, and myself included, and I've seen this with patients, they literally will start just taking one capsule a day and they feel completely different. And you can definitely go way higher on that. Again, I would recommend that you work with your medical team to see what's right for you. But there are so many different levers that we can pull on to really help you to feel okay. This is why I always say when you are going on these GLP-1 medications, a lot of these side effects are optional. Now, am I saying that they're never going to happen to you? No. But if you use some of these strategies, you can really get yourself to a better place where you're not having to experience that. So there is work involved. You're figuring out how to eat, how to move, what hydration helps. Some of you are going to be helped by electrolyte packs. And I want to tell you why. And some of them are going to work better than others because certain minerals are going to help you with constipation. I go down the rabbit hole on these things because it's so fascinating that you will learn this. Like as a physician, you will know this, and it's the smallest detail ever that will help someone. So there are certain salt brands that have these trace minerals in them. And again, full disclosure, right? My parents' nutraceutical company, True Botanica, it has those trace minerals in it. I literally, this is how nerdy I am. I think it was a year or two ago, I can't remember, when I sent holiday gifts in December time to my friends, I put in the True Botanica salt because I knew they need those trace minerals. Everyone's dealing with constipation. And you know what? It helped them. so it's just, you got to know, what is it that's going to help me? Is it more vitamin C? Is it some trace minerals? Is it a probiotic? Is it the fiber? I would always, before you turn to supplements, I would always first get your basics in line. Are you hydrating? Are you moving? Are you getting your fiber? If you don't have that, I don't care about the rest of it. I mean, could that other stuff still help? Yes. But it's like you have a massive hole in the boat and you have a piece of tape on it. You know that's going to be a disaster. We don't need that to happen. We need solid foundations and then we build on it. I want these things to enhance your life even more. I don't want it to hold you back. Okay, that's what I've got for you for today. By the way, I have enrollment open for the September 30/30 round. If you're thinking of doing it, I would say sign up for this round. The reason being, I am not sure that I'm going to be running that program again in 2027. So next year, I'm not 100% sure that I'm not going to run it. I'm very much so leaning to that. I'm someone that always looks at what is going on. What am I feeling called to do next? And I think that there might be a smaller year-long program, and I'll explain more about that I'm going to be doing in 2027. I'm not saying I'm not ever going to run 30/30 again, but there are just times when I want to have a different structure or do something differently. And right now, I really am enjoying small community. And I think I want to foster that in 2027. And so if you're wanting to work with me in this type of capacity, it's probably not going to look the same next year, likely. I never want to over say something and then I change my mind. I reserve the right to change my mind at any point. But if you're wanting to do that, I would say September would be the time. This is a great round. What's different about this round, so if you're not interested in that program, just stop listening here. But for those of you that are, so it's me running it. We have videos where there's a lot of information that you learn. Again, I have all this on the information page. What we're doing differently this round is that instead of it being 6 weeks, it's going to be 12 weeks. And what I'm doing is, instead of us having 2 group calls per week, we're doing 1, but over a longer time. So what we used to do in 30/30, we would meet on Sundays for a planning reset call, and then we would meet Thursday night for another call. What I noticed is everybody is tired and exhausted on a Thursday night, and the Sunday calls are just amazing. Not that Thursday wasn't, but again, it's just a different energy. And what I realize is we need that constant resetting, thinking about our week, having the time and energy to be able to do this work. So why don't we just do it on those Sundays, but do it for a longer period of time? So We're going to do that September, October, November. It's going to be a really nice lead into the holiday time. So if you really want to end the year strong, I know it's like you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's summer. I don't want to think about the end of the year. The only reason I bring this up is the reason we enroll early for this program is that we mail you a workbook as part of it, and it takes 2 to 3 weeks for that to come. Even though the program starts in September, we end up enrolling way early because we ship it to you a far way ahead of time so that you definitely get it. We're going to have those calls once a week. I do not have solid at this point if or who I would bring in as guest speakers. I always have either some Q&As or something like that. To be honest, I don't know what I want to do with that. I am really someone that sees where are things at? What do I think people need? So that sometimes emerges a little bit closer to the date. And what's interesting, a lot of you have been in my community for such a long amount of time, and you've done so many programs with me. And I'm so incredibly grateful for you doing that, that you just trust she will bring us what matters. She will bring us, what we can do. Last time I did a whole genetics course. So that's something that only happens within 30/30. So that was part of that last round. And that's still available if you're in the September round. Even now, if you want to do the genetics test that I talk about and you want to hear some of the behind the scenes of how to interpret that, again, that's something that just occurs within my program. So there's all of that kind of stuff in the September round. Here's the main thing though. The only reason you should join the September 30/30 is if you want community. There's nothing information-wise happening in there there's a few different things. I talk a lot more about gut health and things like that. I don't want you to join because of knowledge. Knowledge is not your problem anymore. It is just not. The time that we're living in, knowledge is everywhere. Now, there's a lot of crappy information and it's so diffuse all over the place. And I do help condense that down. But you join this group if you want a community. I got a comment the other day on social. It was a comment from a man, and he said with his wife that she had been in Weight Watchers years ago, and she'd done these different programs and she loved the community aspect. So then now that she was on a GLP-1, she didn't want the diet culture, but she still wanted that community of being able to talk about things and support each other. At the end of the day, it's really not about weight and what you're eating. It's the mindset of I care about the direction I'm going in. I take the time to prep a meal for myself. I get an idea. Oh, that's fun. I'm going to go try that with my family. It's a certain energy behind it that you're wanting. And to be in a group where we're not counting calories, we're not toxically trying to shrink you to the smallest size you can be, all of that, that's the reason you would join, because those are the type of principles that I foster within my groups. And that's what I mean when I say it's not diet culture. It is learning how to get back to, I eat in a way that is simple and easy and makes sense. And I'm not fighting myself and I'm not thinking my body is broken all day long. Okay. The reason you join a group like the 30/30 group, it's because you want to be in the room with those other women and you like hearing their questions and you like supporting each other and you like that. That is the main reason, community. It is not a knowledge problem. Okay, other questions that I get asked with this group every time I'm enrolling for it, people want to know, well, what if I haven't started losing weight, or what if I've lost all my weight? The reality is it's very agnostic as to what stage you're at. So it does not matter if you haven't started. Hallelujah. You're going to get some really great information about body composition and how to do that and how to track things over time. If you already are at maintenance, I've had people that come in, they've lost all their weight, but they realize I am so screwed up in the way in which I'm thinking about things or worried that I'm going to regain all of that. One of the weeks we speak about regain because that's really a big problem that frankly, I've not ever met anyone that doesn't worry about that. So if this is all the type of stuff that you want to go over, the September round is open for enrollment. And again, we not too long from now are going to be sending the planner. Do know that while you can sign up all the way into the beginning of September, we cannot mail you the planner at some point because it won't get to you in time. Okay. So there is a date on that. Again, I'll have it on the information page down below. You can click on that and look, but If you don't enroll by the end of August, we can't get you the information. Okay. All right. I definitely did not intend to talk so long about the September round. If you have any questions, you can always email me. I hope that you guys have an amazing rest of the week, that constipation does not find you because you are so fibered up and feeling amazing that you have no concerns in the world. Hope that you guys have a great week. Talk soon. That marks the end of today's episode. But if you're newer to the podcast, I want to tell you about something that we have, and it's a free podcast roadmap. So this is perfect for any of you that are listening where you want to be directed to very specific episodes. So let's say that you are just starting out and you want to know, what should I do right when I start on the medications? Or you're experiencing certain side effects on the GLP-1s, or you want to know what to do if you're in a plateau, or if emotional eating is taking over, or if hunger levels are high. So we have many different categories of episodes that we've talked about, because there's a lot at this point. So if you want to be able to navigate that very easily, we have it broken down by category, and also the episodes that are there, and we hyperlink to everything. So you can just click on it and find the episode, easy peasy. If you want that, you can go to rentiaclinic.com/podcast roadmap. We'll have it linked right here underneath the show notes where you're listening. And you can go ahead and get that free resource so that it makes it easy for you to navigate, because I know that it's really hard when someone has an established podcast. I am such a podcast fiend. I'm listening to podcasts all day long. And when I find one that I love, but there's a lot that are out there, I am so lost. So I hope that you enjoy this free podcast roadmap. Again, the link to get to that is going to be rentiaclinic.com/podcast roadmap. I hope this is helpful, and let me know if you have any questions.